the root of this education is actually bitter. If we would not lie, to be honest, it is bitter.
What's your notion about people seeing education as just passing examinations?
Exactly.
Like we have exams, students they can
Yes.
read and
They
do
will
well
read
in
and
exam,
pass, but
but
once
you
it's time
can't
to
apply this
defend
knowledge
it.
to real life situations.
Education goes beyond the classroom.
What do you have to say about academic underperformance?
The reason for which students are being sent to school is so that they are able to contribute positively to the society.
Most of them even believe school na scam. They believe, okay, after schooling, what's next? I can't do anything with the certificate, because that's the mindset most of these students have.
If someone has certificate and yet cannot deliver, well, certificate will give him or her entry, right? But then there's a limit to which that kind of person can go. I've been in workshops where even adults, professionals, the first question they will ask is, will there be a certificate?
Do you feel that the current students that we have are so lazy that they don't want to study?
The drive to be the best, the drive to add value, it all starts from within.
Education, they say, is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode on LYTE Africa Podcast, where we bring to you exciting, educating, intriguing content, and would discuss about it and also allow you to share your thoughts on it. I am your host for today, Doyinke Posh, and with me on today's show is the extraordinary Emmanuel. Are you happy to be here?
Certainly, always. I'm happy to be here as always.
All right. And are you prepared for us today?
Sure. Well-loaded, packaged episode for today.
All right.
And I want everybody to sit well, relaxed,
and enjoy today's show. Yes, because we'll be taking you deep. We'll be dicing today's topic critically, talking about it, and of course, at the end of it, you also contribute to what we're talking about. And we are not alone on today's show. Actually, we have somebody here with us, and as in person of Mr. Olalekan Badmus, who is also a maths and science educator. Mr. Leko, welcome to today's show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, please, can you say hello to the viewers?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. And as you all know, you'll be wondering, we have an educator on today's show. What are they talking about? Well, today we'll be talking about, the academic aspects of the country. Yes, our topic for today says, who is to take the blame for academic underperformance? And we would also be mentioning some stakeholders and their contributions in running these institutions. Now, when we talk about academic underperformance, what do we mean by this? What does academic underperformance mean? I would say, to me, it means when a student fails to meet the expected goals or standard in the academic world or in the academic world. Yes, it is very, very visible when a student goes to school and you expect the student to know, okay, this is simple maths, and alas, the student does not know this. Yes, that is academic performance. And it can be evident in, poor contribution, mental health, when they don't engage properly in schoolwork. Emmanuel, I don't know if, of course you would. You're an educator. Why am I even asking? Emmanuel is an educator, right? So what can you say about this?
Yeah, education is so wide.
Yes.
So it's just far beyond what we do in the school setting, you get.
Yes.
So I'm sure our guest is going to do a good job today, helping us dissect.
Okay, but Emmanuel,
areas.
yes, we know that education is very wide, but we want to look at the formal education.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to dwell mainly on the formal education. When students go to school and they are not doing as expected. Yes. So what can be the cause of this? How can we overcome academic underperformance? And these stakeholders that I said earlier, the parents, teachers, even the students themselves, and let's say the government. Sure. Yes, what is their contribution to running this institution? Mr. Badmus, what do you have to say about academic underperformance?
All right. First, education, like you rightly said, goes beyond the classroom. Like he rightly said, education is the transmission of knowledge from one generation to another, and it continues. And I want to say that whether formal or informal education, there is an end to education, which is that ability to solve problems. I remember that back then, there's something that our parents used to call the student Omoni Mewa, right? How that when there is an issue in the community, they send for that student, who has completed that level of education. And it was believed that for you to be there and to have completed that level of education, you should be able to solve this problem, right? So whether formal or informal, although we are talking about formal, there is an end to education. So when we talk about academic underperformances, it's wide, right? We are saying that the students are not, they are not being able to meet the need of the requirement of the society. Because you see, the reason for which students are being sent to school is so that they are able to contribute positively to the society.
Yeah.
So what is the essence of sending a student to school, after completing whether basic education, secondary or even tertiary education, and that student cannot contribute, immensely to development in the society, in your immediate environment. That's where it starts from. It doesn't have to be that you are a commissioner or you are the governor of your state, right? Before you get to that level, you start from somewhere. How many problems are you able to solve within, in your family? Right, that's where it starts from, because the family is the basic unit of the society.
Yeah.
So the reason for which a family can deem it fit to send their children to school is because so that when they are done, they are able to, because education brings enlightenment. So our parents who are not as schooled as we are, they send us to school so that we can be enlightened. There are some things that they could not see that we'll be able to see. That's what education does. There are some things that even within the environment that their minds are not enlightened to see. But someone who is schooled, who has gone through the four walls of a school, we reason differently, we see things differently, we understand things differently. So if at the end of a level of education, that student is not able, right, at that level to solve, a problem, that is commensurate with that level of education, then that is academic underperformance. So we are not saying not just the academic, what do we call it, the report card. We are not saying, oh, you came fourth in class or you came fifth in class. That's not what we are talking about. The knowledge you've acquired in school, how can you bring it over to the society, right? How can you see a problem and provide a solution? How can you give us suggestions that will bring about development in the society? That's what academic performance is about. So we're not saying, oh, you got 400 over 400 in JAM. That's not it. If after getting 400 in JAM, you are not able to solve a simple problem, then what's the use?
So I buy into his idea a lot, because I've been an advocate of differentiating schooling from education. And one thing I want him to still talk about is, what's your notion about people seeing education as just passing examinations?
Exactly.
Like, we have exams, students, they can read and do well in exam.
They'll read and pass the
Yes.
exam.
But
once
you can't
it's time
apply
to
this
defend
knowledge
it,
to real life situations. So what do you have to say about this particular notion?
That's the issue. You see, when, like I said earlier, the ability to, whatever you are taught, this is not about the department, whether you are science, commercial, or arts. Whatever it is that you are taught, the ability, what your subject, we have a curriculum. The essence of the curriculum is to put together the subject, the activities, within that type of education, that level of education, to carry out those activities. Now, after you've passed through that curriculum, when you come out, that knowledge, because you have gone through it, right? The knowledge, the understanding. That's why we have mathematics, we have English, we have all of these things. So if you've been able to pass through all these activities, right, you must be able to apply that understanding to solve, real life problems. Yeah. You must be able to. That's what we refer to as real life applications. That's what education is actually about. That whatever you have learned, right, that has brought about enlightenment. You reason differently, you see things differently, you know things differently. So when you come out, when we ask you a question, when we ask you how that, okay, we have a problem in this community, market women are not able to commute from this place to another, what do you think can be done? The response you are going to give as someone who is learned is different from somebody who is, what you are going to see is different from what the person who is not learned will see. That's what we are talking about. Yeah. So passing examination is good. You should pass examinations. But to what end are you passing examination? We have this, we have an example of Wole Soyinka, Professor Wole Soyinka came out with a third class. I think, was it third class or I think
second class, lower, in between.
Yeah, around. It didn't come out. He wasn't a first class student.
Yes.
Right, but he's a professor today, and is contributing immensely to the development of the country. Yeah. That's what education is about. And also, let me mention that parents also shouldn't be. I remember then when we were little, when you come back home with your result, the first question is, Kilo gbe. What's your position? As though that position, and really, we're tempted to do a lot of things. Because even when you came fifth in class, you know that there's going to be an issue at all.
Yes.
They are not even, you've not even gone to check the grades, the strength of the student, the weaknesses. In each subject. Yes. Because you see, we cannot all be good in all subjects. Exactly. Yeah. So it's important for parents also to pay attention to the strength of their kids. Yes. Right? Rather than, the usual, what's your position? And I don't think any parent does that in today's world.
Okay, let's now talk about the students themselves. Okay. Do you think they are, doing a great job trying to, be better at learning? Do you think they are trying to be better at learning this day?
Like the current
current students. Do you think they are trying to be good at learning?
Okay, well, from my experience, there are a whole lot of distractions now. In fact, there are more distractions now than there was, in our time and the time before. Today there is TikTok, there is Facebook. There are a whole lot of things. And you see, it's not just the students. All students are at the receiving end. They are the receiving end. They only practice what they see in the society. Those who have gone ahead of them. That's why, we have to create a system where we have role models, educational role models. Create a system that rewards excellence. Not a mediocre system, not a system that rewards nothingness, that rewards foolishness. Yeah. Right? If we have a system that rewards excellence, where a student comes out as best student in class, and the government, the parents, they are able to reward this, accordingly. That gives the students, gives them a sense of belonging. That, okay, if I do well, like the song we used to sing that time, now, so that song gave us, it was a propeller, right? That if I read my book and I pass well, this is what my future will be.
Yeah.
So for students these days, there, like I said, there are a whole lot of distractions, and students they themselves, individual students, must have something they are driving at. You must have a goal. What's your passion? Where do you see yourself? In the nearest future. What do you want? What do you want to be known for? Right? If you don't have these questions and you are not answering them, then you won't have where you are going to, and you won't commit to it. There's a saying that when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. When you don't know, when you don't have a purpose yourself, you're not seeing how you can contribute to the society, how you can improve your immediate environment, which is the reason you're going to school, you are learning, right? If you don't see all of that, you won't commit yourself to it. So that drive is important.
Most of them even believe school na scam.
Yeah,
You get
reverse is the case
they
now.
believe okay, after schooling, what's next? I can't do anything with the certificate, because that's the mindset most of these students have.
That's the problem. You see, the issue of certificate, because you see, even in today's, let's even leave the student. If you want to register for a course now, in fact, I've been in workshops where even adults, professionals, the first question they ask is, will there be a certificate?
Because that's what they're after.
That's because we have a system that only rewards certificates. Not what can you do, what
can you offer as a person?
What can you deliver? It's about paper, right? It's about what you have at hand, right? So if someone has certificate and yet cannot deliver, certificate will give him or her entry, right? But then there's a limit to which that kind of person can go.
Yeah, certainly.
So it's important that we are not just fixed on paper certificates, we are fixed on solving problems.
Okay. So looking at some other causes of academic underperformance, it could be low mental health. It could be personal problems.
Well,
it can't just be distractions. We have we have different levels of students.
Yes.
It can't be distractions alone. It might be personal problems
Or else.
Yes, or else
Health-related
this
issues.
the special children.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the way you treat teach a normal child is different from the way you would treat such children. So how do you think they can cope?
Well, that's where the government comes in, and well-meaning people,
Okay.
right? The function of the government is to create an enabling environment. Really, the function is not on the government to actually give you a job. All the government needs to do is create an enabling environment where everybody can thrive. When we're talking about the other time about power supply,
Yeah.
it's the function of the government to provide power supply, so that then we that are learned, we are able to think, what can I do with this? It's a function of the government, the role of the government to produce good roads, to make good roads, good infrastructures, that will help the citizens of that country to thrive. Now, for students that have those conditions, that we have different institutions. We have institutions for special children,
Yeah.
right, where you can take these children to, and there's a way they are taught. We have the school for the blind, we have the school for the deaf, right, whether established by government or well-meaning, citizens, right? They just think, okay, nobody should be left out, right? Every child is entitled, has the right. One of the basic fundamental right is the right to education.
Yeah.
So we have institutions around where people like that, students like that, or parents who have children like that, they can take their children there, such that nobody is with excuse that, oh, it's because my child has this mental problem, or my child is a special child, it cannot learn with other regular children. No, there's no excuse.
Okay. But coming to fundamental rights of children, the educational aspect, I think is being abused.
Okay.
I personally think it's being abused because we have government-owned schools, we have public schools, but why do we still see children on the streets? When they're supposed to be in class and they are on the streets roaming about or walking or doing what they are not supposed to do by that time of the day.
Um, Public enlightenment also is important, and that's the role of, I mentioned the government the other time, how that they should produce enabling environment.
Yeah.
When you see, I think Lagos State does something like that, where and some organizations also do that. They pick students from the street, they stop them. In fact, I think at some point, even till now, Lagos State goes against the Lagos State government goes against
A child.
child trafficking, child
Okay,
hawking,
on
and all of that.
okay.
So that's a policy. That's a government policy. How that children should be in school, right? So, and really, like I said, nobody's without is with should be with excuse. Nobody should be with excuse because we have government schools that are free of charge,
Yeah.
and all you need to do is register your child there, and maybe you pay, very little amount of money to train. If you say you don't have the means to train your child in private schools, there are government schools there, right, that you can take your child to, and the child will learn and even do better in some cases than students who even attend the best of schools.
Emmanuel, you're an educator, right?
Yeah.
And looking at the way you've related with students in the past and now, what can you think is the cause of this underperformance from what you've seen and you've taken note of?
This is a wonderful question.
Yeah.
And I'll straight back to him. I'll throw it back to him.
I'm actually asking you because you're an educator,
Sure.
so you'd have your own experience.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
So maybe you just want to let us know why you think these children are going through academic underperformance.
The society.
Do you think it's the society?
Yes, it's
me,
the
me, I
society.
think it's the parents actually.
It's the society.
For me, it's the parents.
I'll give you this notion or this illustration rather.
Okay.
I was having conversation with some students
Okay.
and we're talking about what's the essence of education. And the only thing that came to their mind was to be successful. So to be successful in what way? Now I told them, do you know that in our current world, like people who are talentless are the ones even doing so well?
Wow.
Okay, sorry to say, let's look at Pella of TikTok. Let's look at iShow Speed.
Okay.
These are popular names. These students started giving me names. They were like,
Names,
Mr. Emmanuel, if I
You
just
don't-
finish my SS3, I know how to use my TikTok and this very well. I'll be doing so well. I'll be making money. Why do I need to further? Why do I need to take my
more.
education so serious? That's what I'm saying is the society. Now, let's imagine that the society is not celebrating people who are not doing so well. Like, people don't have something to impact to the society itself. If we are not celebrating them, then they back down. We celebrate people who are doing so well. Because one thing I've seen is people who we call celebrities, once they don't have this followership, you see that they try to adjust.
Yes.
And it is the society that empowers them to continue with this sort of rubbish that they do online. Because most of them are not giving us what the society actually needs. You get? So if we are blaming the children, fine, they have their own fault. But I think the society is the major cause. Because they are seeing what is happening out there. They see what the society is celebrating. They also want to be celebrated.
Like that.
You get? So that's their own notion. Or what can you say about it, sir?
Like I mentioned earlier about the reward of excellence and value, celebration of value.
Yeah.
Not just money. Well, money is important, right? But then what is the essence of having so much and you cannot add value? And let me take a cue from the parable Jesus mentioned about that rich fool.
Okay.
He had money, he had wealth, he had, properties, but then all he could think of was himself. I will do this, I'll pull down my bands, I'll build a bigger one. He didn't think of the student on the street. He didn't think of how he could add value to his immediate environment. He didn't think of all of that. He was only thinking of himself. So if we have people, right, that are adding value to the society, you know, we, like I said, we shouldn't all wait for the government to do everything, right? In my own space, what am I doing to add value to my society, to my community? What am I doing? You know, how many people am I talking to? Well, in my own space, I'm an educator, right? I have a good number of students that I teach. So beyond the subject, beyond teaching them math and science, right, I speak to them, right? I talk to them in adding value to their life, in building their self-esteem, their self-confidence, right, to be able to thrive in the world. So if you have, you know, anyone in the society that is not giving back, that is not contributing to the development of the society, whether in human resources, right, or material resources. We are not saying, oh, you have to build, what's it called? What's this borehole? We are not saying, oh, go and tar this street. That's not what we are saying. We are saying that what's the value you are adding, even to humanity, to the people around you. You know, how well have you been able? How many people have you trained, right? Even free of charge. How many people have you called to yourself, right, to add value to their life, so that they also, right, can be of good to themselves and also to their environment.
So this issue of academic underperformance, do you think it's going to get better? Do you think it will get better with the way things are, with the way things are going at the moment? Do you think it's going to get better?
It will. I'm optimistic. No, I'm optimistic about.
Why is
Because
going
because
up? Is it
no
because
no
we are
no
in Nigeria?
Actually, you know, when our parents wants to talk, you know, the learned ones among them, they'll be like, during our days, you know, when we want to read, we read with lightning. We go to the top of the tree to read, you get. But now it's different. And looking at the coming future, do you think it will get better, or it's going to be bad?
Well, let's take it from the last jam. About one point at first, about 1.5, I think 1.5 million students. You know, got below 200.
Yes.
You know, I was alarmed even when I saw that. Now, when we say, oh, will it get better? It will. Okay, with like all the stakeholders, with individual stakeholders carrying out their roles effectively, including the students. Like I said, what we should celebrate is value. Let us celebrate value. Let's stop celebrating what's not valuable, right? Let's celebrate value and reward. Let's have a reward, a system of rewarding value. So when you see, for example, some universities, they do that. You know, a student comes out with first class, right? Some they retain them, some, you know, they give them some form of employment. You know, that's what I'm talking about, rewarding value, right? So when generation coming, when they see these things, how that the government, the parents, you know, well-meaning people, citizens of the nation, all we are after is value, right? Not, you know, people shaking bomb bomb, you know, on social media, right? So when we have a system where, you know, we celebrate people that are valuable, people that are solving problems, right, within the society, then, you know, the generation coming will learn from that and they will sit properly. Because at the end of the day, what will matter is the value they are able to give to their society. And if they are not able to add that value to their society, then that's failure.
So these students now, let's take the blame to these students. I watched one of your videos where you talked about hard work on the side of the students themselves. So can you emphasize more on that? Like, do you feel that the current students that we have are so lazy that they don't want to study despite having everything at the tip of their finger? Like, in times back, like technology was not so big.
What our parents used 1 year to achieve, now we can do it in a week with technology. That's the essence of technology.
Yeah.
Now, so if we don't see technology that way, as a means to first conserve strength in order to do more, because that's the essence of technology, so that we can do more than what has been done in the past. So if we are doing less as a generation, then we are failing, right? If with, like you rightly said, with the information we have, with the technological advancement that we have today, and we are still doing less than the generation before, then we are really failing. There's a situation at hand. So back to your question about student and hard work. Students, it all starts from within, right? The drive to be the best, the drive to add value, the drive to contribute to the development of your immediate society. That drive is that drive that will make you read your books. I remember that as a secondary school student, it was that drive, right, to be better in order to do well, not just for myself, but for my parents, for my siblings, for my society. That drive, helped me to stay awake at night, because I didn't want to be just ordinary. See, this thing, right? We are not saying, oh, everybody will go to the university.
Yes.
That's not what we are saying. We are not saying everybody will go to polytechnic. Everybody must attend tertiary education. That's not what we are saying. We are saying that that feeling and that drive to be valuable in your world, right? To be seen as somebody who contributes to the development of the society. That drive to want to be seen not just as a superstar, but somebody who is a problem solver, right? Wherever he finds himself or herself, it is that drive that will bring about hard work, that will make you to want to do more as a student, that will make you pay attention to your books, that will make you, obey instructions when you are given. So it's not just that by the time students write the exam and they didn't do well, the blame goes to the teachers, like it was, some months back.
Results.
How that when the results came out, the blames
It's always the teachers.
were on
Always,
teachers. The
always
teachers
the
didn't
teachers.
teach well, this and that and that.
Always the
So
teachers.
whereas it's the drive within, right? The drive to add value, to contribute to the development of the society. That's what education is about. And any child, any well-thinking student, right, that wants to get to that point where he or she contributes, he or she is a problem solver and wants to be addressed as such. Now you will talk to yourself, right? You will not waste your time. You want to add value. You want to read books to improve on yourself, because you know that there's an expectation from your parents. There's an expectation from your siblings. There's an expectation from your friends, from the society. Like I mentioned when we started, that there was an expectation from Omoniwe Mewa. There was an expectation that if you've been able to finish this level of education, you should be able to solve this problem in our community. So when every child, when every student, every child, has that in mind, that there will be that sense of belonging, that I cannot fail, I should not fail, right? We'll put in the effort, we'll put in the work to make sure that he or she comes out, maybe not the best, but comes out to be able to fit into his or her society.
Okay, so apart from the individual drive, I would also like to, implore our parents, because they also have a great role to play in this. I once stayed with somebody that owns a school, you get. So, aside the normal classroom learning and all of that, the person tried to introduce other curriculum activities like entrepreneur, learning of skills, and he also added robotics. Yes, he added robotics to it. And the parents are like, what's the use of that? What do they want to use it for? Why would they come to school to learn, and you'll be asking them to learn tailoring, to learn,
Instead of them
catering
to face
skills?
maths and
Yes,
English.
That's what they are there to do. That's why they are paying them, literally. And the man, he tried to explain to them, and most of them were not even buying it. They were totally against it. They just want them to be in the classroom to learn. You get. And another instance is when a child goes home with assignment, schoolwork, and the child does not attend to it, and the parents will be calling the school that, hello, my child did not do his or her assignment, punish the child,
Yeah, help me flog my
beat the
child.
child. You get, they're forgetting that this thing is also part of their responsibility.
Yeah.
That's why I said it earlier, that the parents, families, they are also, we need to enlighten them. What can you say to them? What would you say to them to enlighten them that they also have a role to play in all of this? You can't be treating a child with levity and you expect the child to do well. It's not possible. Only if the child has that individual drive, like you said earlier. So we need to enlighten the parents. Like, how do you think they should, contain this situation?
The first environment of a child is the family.
Yes.
The parents, right? And children learn by example.
Yeah.
They don't learn by do this. No, they want to see you do it before they do it.
Exactly.
Big points.
It's not enough as a parent
Yeah.
to say, show more or do this. They do. That's not it. It's what you do that they do. And that's the way it is. Parents should live by example. They should live by example. Don't be that parent that you tell your child, when I was in school, I used to score A, and by the time we check your
I can't even
results,
see it safe.
Child.
I used to score hate, but
Let's not
it's
go there.
no, maybe somehow you just find out you found your father's
report card.
report card somewhere, right? And you saw red barrel.
Chineke me.
That's not living by example. It's not enough to give instructions to your children. You should also live by those instructions. In fact, it's more, you should live more exemplary than speaking.
Yes.
As a parent, you should show them the example. Whatever you want them to do and to be is what you should practice. It's what you should do. So by seeing you, when you want them to learn discipline, you be disciplined. You are telling this child is not disciplined, is that he talks too much, and you as a parent, you don't have mouth discipline. You talk anyhow, and yet you want your child. African parents are very funny, right? This is your child, and then maybe something happened. You keep speaking, using abusive words on that child, and yet somehow you want that child to grow up, to be sound, all right, or to be disciplined. You've shown him or her how to live. So it is by example. If you want your child to be disciplined, you be disciplined. You see them. If you want your child, to learn house chores, let them learn it from you doing it. So when they see you doing it, right, they see you packing your plate when you eat, right, and they learn that. So by the time they eat, also you won't even need to say
Tell
it.
them, yeah.
You won't even, by the time they see you every time you do that, when they eat also, they know that that's what they should do. So parents should live exemplary. They should learn how to live by examples. It's not enough to just talk.
And it's not everything that they need to report to the teacher. They are
At all.
parents
No,
for a
no.
Do
reason.
your jobs, please. Do your
They are
jobs.
parents for a reason, actually. You
Do
get
your jobs,
any
don't-
small thing, they start calling the school. Hello.
No,
It's really, really
discipline from
funny.
the school is secondary.
But most of
secondary.
these people don't want to realize that.
No,
you-
That's why I said we should not go there. If
you-
not, we are going to spend
they
next
don't want
1
to
hour
they don't want to
addressing
realize,
this issue.
honestly. That's why I said the family, they are just the main issue of this discussion, because they won't listen. They believe that, okay, they are paying. That's the notion. They are paying for this thing.
Yes.
So
So
you should
take the life of my child, do it the way you want. That's it now. Do it the way you want. But quick one, I have 2 questions at the same time. One is, do you think that the current educational system that we have fits the current students that we have? Like, is it not archaic for them? Don't we need to adjust our curriculum? And the second one is the impact of technology and AI to present the educational system. What can you say about these two things?
Okay. First about the curriculum.
Yeah.
There was something I posted yesterday because I'm doing a series on what's it called? 10 days about the online school.
Okay.
And I posted something about curriculum yesterday. How that what we should have is not national curriculum. What we should have is individual curriculum, a curriculum to meet individual needs of the children.
This is actually
because you see, we are not all the same.
Yes.
Children are not all the same, right? It is good when there's a common place for all, but there are individual differences that the curriculum provided should be able to meet that need.
Yeah.
Right. So about the curriculum, that's why we have schools that are running blended Nigerian British curriculum. If our curriculum is rich enough to prepare a student, not just for Nigeria, but for the world.
Yeah.
If our curriculum is rich enough, right, to make them problem solvers, not just in their local community, but outside their, their community, then there will be no need for us adopting curriculum from other nations of the world, because that's what we have today. Now, many of us, we are eyeing British curriculum, we are eyeing the US curriculum, right? Because somehow those curricula, they don't just focus on passing examination. They don't focus on, you make A grade, right? Or you make B grade, it's good, right? It's about how you can integrate that student into the society to contribute to the development of his or her community. That's what it's about. That's what the curriculum should solve. The curriculum should train students and children in problem-solving skills, in critical thinking, right, to be able to fit in to the society. So my opinion is that the curriculum should be adjusted, all right, with the present day requirement. It should be adjusted. And about technology, the use of technology now, we keep going, right? If we still want to, it's just like today now, people are using smart TV.
Yes.
Nobody is using that is in monochrome, that white, black and white. Nobody is using that again today, right? Because the world is moving. So we must, whether as all the stakeholders, as a government, as a parent, as a student, right, as a school owner, we should have that flexibility whereby we are able to adjust as the world moves. So the use of AI and technology, like I said, it is not to make you lazy. It is to make sure that with little strength, you are able to do more. That's
God bless you.
That's the essence of technology and AI. It's not so that, there is technology to do my work so I can relax. No. In fact, it is for you to think more. Because there is technology that will conserve your strength, right? So you should have that energy to do more, to think more, right? Because there is a machine that will do what some part of the work that you should do. So the perception should be that there is AI. Today, as a teacher, in planning lessons, well, I still use my PowerPoint. Sometimes I sit down, right? I've never used AI to plan my lesson before, even though I've just been introduced to something like that, and I'm planning to use it. But you see, the essence of using that AI to plan the lesson is so that I can have time to think about other things that in sitting down to, I don't want to believe there are people still writing lesson notes today.
Let's not go there.
I don't want to believe that.
We are still writing.
There are still people that write.
I'm serious.
We are still writing.
Because, well, with what we have today, lessons can be typed. Because what do you want to write? If you are teaching biology, do you want to draw frog or toad inside your lesson note?
They expect them to
Or
draw
you
it.
write like
If I'm not-
10,000 words.
That's archaic. It's not something that should be practiced today.
Yeah.
Today we have technology, we have devices that can project images, real images, and present them as they are. The images, we will not see the anatomy of a frog in your note. We won't see it. Your book will not show us.
Yes.
But the projector will show us.
Yeah.
Right? Videos will show us the anatomy of, all of these things. So let us embrace technology and let us use it to do more, not less.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Badmus. Thank
It's
you
my
for your
pleasure.
work. Thank you for your wonderful contribution.
I
Thanks
really
for having
enjoyed
me.
this session. Like,
Yeah,
I've learned a
so we've
lot.
been talking about academic underperformance, and we've talked about ways to tackle it. We also mentioned the responsibilities of the various stakeholders. It is not just a responsibility of one person. The parents should not leave it all to the teachers. Teachers, you should not think, okay, the government should do this. We all have a part to play in all of this. And also to the student as well. You need to work on it. You need to have that drive that is going to make you do exploits. Because if you don't have something that is driving, you will just be there. If you don't have that drive, you will just be there, and you'll be there celebrating people out there, and you would not know what to do with yourself. So you need to have that individual drive. Mr. Badmus, thank you once again. That was a wonderful one. Yes.
Thanks
So
so much,
actually the root of this education is actually bitter, if we would not like to be honest. It is bitter, but when you start rewarding from it, when you start reaping it, it is very sweet. You get. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to our viewers. We love you. Thank you for your time, and let us know your contribution. Let us know what you think about this. You can find us on all social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at LYTE Africa TV. Drop your comments. If it is against what we've said, let us know. And if you are in support of what we've said, let us know as well. Yes, we'll catch you in our next episode. Thank you all. Emmanuel.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.